Hey, it's Matt Moscona. You found it. It's AFR LSU, your home for daily content on your favorite team, Fighting Tigers of LSU. And we're proud to be presented by BetUS, where this football season, get a 150% bonus on your first deposit and a 125% bonus on your next two deposits up to $2,000. Be sure to use the promo code YouTube150. Now, enjoy the video. So LSU now is less than a month away from the start of spring practice. And I think all of us are very excited to see the transfers that are coming in and how they may assimilate and who's going to fill in where and some of the roster spots that are open. One that is a no-doubter is, of course, quarterback Garrett Nussmeier returning for his fifth collegiate season, his second as the LSU starter. And I think all of us have very high expectations for Nussmeier. Presently, he has the second best Heisman odds behind only Arch Manning. It's a little odd that Arch Manning's there to begin with, but I get it. He's got the name. He's going to draw action. Texas was in the playoff this year. I get all of it. Well, Pro Football Focus did a ranking of the top 10 returning quarterbacks for the 2025 college football season. So it's their ranking. It's their subjective opinion. And if you know anything about the show, when we do things like this, I don't necessarily care about lists. Lists are completely subjective. It's just someone's opinion. Your list of the top 10 returning quarterbacks, there's no more credibility associated with Pro Football Focus ranking top 10 returning quarterbacks, or you doing it, or me doing it, or anybody. It's just our opinion based on whatever factors we want to consider. And quite honestly, it feels like you're ranking ice cream flavors. Like, there's no bad choices. I mean, you run through the list. I'm going to run through it, but they're all good. It's just like, well, do you like mint chocolate chip or do you like Rocky Road? Like, I'm not a super big fan of Rocky Road because I don't love nuts in my ice cream. I mean, I kind of love birthday cake from Bluebell. There's this thing that Ben & Jerry's does called Americone Dream, which I think is awesome as well. Like, yeah, whatever, right? You may not like that. Okay. It just may not be your it's just a preference thing. But so it's less the order that these quarterbacks are in and more, I think, the names on the list that were kind of interesting to me. So and you'll understand the theme here in a sec. We'll get right back to the video. Thrilled to tell you about our partners once again at BetUS, where new customers, you can make a deposit and get a 150% bonus on your first deposit, 125% bonus on your next two deposits, up to $2,000. Use the promo code YouTube150. Look, college football is over, but we can start looking ahead for college football futures bets. How about if we look at Garrett Nussmeier's Heisman odds for next season? It's this easy. You go to BetUS, you see the drop-down menu there on the left side for football. There's college football specials. Just like that, you'll see a lot of different things. Bill Belichick, prop bets, and whatnot. But here is the early lines on next year's Heisman. Arch Manning, John Mateer, DJ Lagway, and then how about Garrett Nussmeier at plus 800? Easy enough. A $10 bet on Nuss to win the Heisman would win me $80. I'll take a flyer on Nuss at plus 800. Couple of quick taps, and just like that, we are locked in for Garrett Nussmeier at plus 800 to win the Heisman Trophy next year. They win at Clemson week 1. You're not getting a better number than that. You can get it now at BetUS. Make sure you use the promo code YouTube150 to get a 150% bonus on your first deposit, 125% bonus on your next two deposits, up to $2,000. Enjoy the rest of the video. So number one on the list is Cade Klubnik from Clemson. And of course, we know LSU is going to face Clemson in the season opener up there in Clemson, South Carolina. Followed by Sam Leavitt from Arizona State. Sun Devils were a playoff team this year. And they drew an awful lot of attention because of the run they had late in the season, winning the conference, going to the playoff, and pushing Texas to the brink. So Leavitt's number 2. This one's kind of interesting to me. Carson Beck at number 3. I don't even know if Carson Beck is going to be healthy enough to play. Dude's coming off a UCL. Like, are we really completely confident that he's going to be ready to rip and roar and run? You can stay here, Paul. Thank you. Drew Aller from Penn State, number 4. Then Nuss at 5. And then the bottom 5 on this list of 10 are Arch Manning from Texas. I'm going to come back and give you an opinion on it. Arch Manning at 6. DJ Lagway from Florida, former 5-star, at 7. Diego Pavia from Vanderbilt, 8. Couple more familiar names. Nico Iamaleava at 9. And then Kevin Jennings, who was the quarterback at SMU, led them to the playoffs this year at 10. And for good measure, they did have one honorable mention, and it was Taylor Green from Arkansas. So they list 11 quarterbacks. One of them is Garrett Nussmeier. Of the other 10, LSU plays 4 of those teams. A quick thought on, I guess, on the list who they have here. I mean, Cade Klubnik is kind of perplexing because he was this 5-star who came in, struggled early, but this last year was really good. Threw for just over 3,000 yards, 36 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. He's coming back for his 4th year. I think there's a lot of people high on him. Sam Levitt, the college football playoff, increased his profile. Carson Beck, we talked about coming off the injury, like how good or healthy or ready is he really even going to be to go for Miami. Drew Aller, he's played in 2 seasons as the starter, as the full-time starter, 53 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. In 2 seasons, 53 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. He's been really effective, and they got to the playoff this past year. Nuss at 5. Arch Manning, just for context, only has 95 career attempts. Arch Manning, who they have 6 on this list, 95 career attempts. And the bulk of those came in the 2 games that Quinn Ewers missed this past season. DJ Lagway, look, he was a 5-star, but this year as a freshman had 12 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. High ceiling guy, but are we really convinced he's going to break through? We've seen lots of high ceiling guys that were 5-stars that the light never really comes on. Pavia, Nico, Jennings, and then Taylor Green as well wrap out the list as we mentioned. I guess here's the way I would ask the question. Is there anybody on that list that you would take over Garrett Nussmeier for 2025? That would be my caveat. Because I could make a case for Arch Manning if you knew you were going to get him for 2 years or maybe 3. I could maybe make the case for DJ Lagway over the next 3 years over Nussmeier for 1. But if we're just talking like Cade Klubnik, Drew Aller, 2 guys that have been starters for 2 years, but they're a year younger than Nuss, who's going into his 5th season. So, there's maybe an argument to be made for some of these guys. But if you asked on that list, I'm trying not to be a homer. I'm trying to look at this objectively. If I could have one guy on that list for 1 season, for the 2025 football season, I think I would take Garrett Nussmeier. Klubnik would be interesting only because he kept the turnovers down last year. But that was a 3-loss Clemson team. I mean, Klubnik went for 36 and 6. Nuss threw for more yards, but Nuss also had to do more in that offense. I don't know that I could tell you I would take Sam Levitt just because of the competition. Carson Beck's coming off an injury. Drew Aller, if you watched him in the playoff game against Notre Dame, I just don't know that I believe Drew Aller is capable of beating good teams with his arm. Garrett Nussmeier can do it. We saw him do it against Ole Miss. Arch, super high ceiling, but 95 career attempts. DJ Lagway, again, a young guy. Diego Pavia, total gamer, but limited. Nico, tons of arm ability. We know that. But boy, that Tennessee offense really struggled at times a year ago, especially in the first half of ball games. Kevin Jennings, I think, is a really interesting player. Super dynamic runner and passer. But again, playing at SMU as opposed to playing in the SEC or the Big Ten just feels like it's a different level. And then Taylor Green, again, just a young guy figuring it out. I certainly wouldn't take Taylor Green over Nuss. I'm not sure I would take anybody on that list over Nuss. And by the way, when you look at the quarterbacks that LSU is going to face next year, they're going to face 4 of them on this list. Klubnik, Lagway, Pavia, and Taylor Green. Well, remember, you're going to be favored in Baton Rouge over Florida. You're going to be favored in Nashville over Vanderbilt, and you're going to be favored at home over Arkansas. So 3 of the 4 on this list that you're going to face, you're going to be favored in those games. The one that you're probably not going to be favored is the road game at Clemson to start the season, which is going to probably be within a field goal. I think Clemson right now, wherever you look, it's point and a half, 2 points, somewhere around there. So, and that may move by the time the season comes around, we'll see. But when you look at the quarterbacks LSU is going to face, and I'm not counting Tech, Southeastern, sorry, Paulie, or Western Kentucky. Let's just acknowledge those games are going to be what they are. Here's the quarterbacks you're going to face. Klubnik, Lagway, Austin Simmons from Ole Miss, Lenora Sellers from South Carolina in Baton Rouge, Pavia, Marcel Reed in Baton Rouge, very likely Ty Simpson from Alabama, Taylor Green, and then John Mateer, who's the new quarterback who transferred into Oklahoma. Now, he was very good last year at Washington State and was one of the top quarterbacks in the portal this cycle. Played in 12 games, threw for 3,100 yards, 29 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. That's impressive. But half their schedule was the Mountain West. Oh, and they played Oregon State. So I'll come back to it, man. When you really spell this out, I'm not sure that there's another quarterback on this list that I would take over Nuss. Klubnik would be interesting because he's been a 2-year starter and he's kept the turnovers down. I also don't know that there's a game you're going to play this season where you don't have the edge at quarterback. And when I look at games, I look at coin flip games, I always look at 3 things: venue, coach, and quarterback. The one where it's a little iffy is when you go play at Clemson. Every other game, when you go venue, coach, quarterback, if that's breaking the tie, like when you play Vanderbilt, you're just going to be a favorite there. But if you're talking about maybe like a coin flip game, like maybe home against A&M or at Bama or something like that, and you go venue, coach, quarterback, LSU's going to have 2 of those 3 in every game they play. Start the hype train, y'all. Thanks so much for watching the video. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, hit the bell so you're notified when we post a new video, and remember to support BetUS, where right now you can get a 150% bonus on your first deposit and a 125% bonus on your next 2 deposits up to $2,000. Be sure to use that promo code YouTube150.